In the 90s, the rocket covers were like a kind of a playground for graphic
Yeah.
designers. And I was wondering if there's a similar playground nowadays, because in what
Okay, so I think it's a little bit dangerous to call it a playground. Obviously, I mean, for some people, record covers, fashion campaign, but it can be a playground. But it's kind of dumb. There are varying degrees of autonomy that you might have in work. I mean, if it's applied art, it's for someone else, it's for some other situation. If you make fine art, then you can just make it yourself, and you can stay at home and you can make art, and and do exactly what you want to do, and that's fine. If you want that work to go further or to be seen, then there is there's a discourse in art that you need to be aware of, and to see if you have anything to contribute to the discourse in art. And that's probably the hardest. The entrance exam for fine art is the most difficult entrance exam you'll ever face. Once you are in, you have a high degree of freedom, but getting in is very difficult. In the applied arts, the work in some way is for other people. And there's a varying degree of autonomy. I did record covers for friends who didn't have an opinion, so therefore I had like 99% freedom what I did. And if they didn't like it, it was too bad. There's other situations where you have zero freedom, absolutely zero freedom. In communications design, in the more serious work, it is absolutely nothing to do with what you think or want. That's not the work. The work is the successful delivery of a message to a specified audience. And so the full range is in between those points, like from zero freedom to like 99% freedom. Usually, the more freedom, the less money. So if you actually want to earn money or run an office or a studio, you have to accept the fact there will be very little freedom in what you do. And the more interesting work, the work where you may be able to find some real empathy of feeling with the messages, is usually where there's not very much money. So it's just tough like that. But it's but it's not really a playground. I mean, it can be, but the work ought to be about something. And if it's about something, it can connect with other people. But if it's not really about anything, then it doesn't really connect with anyone. So, I think that depending on how much freedom you can find within the work, I think you should still have some agenda of significance, and ask why are you doing it, and why are you doing it, and who is it for, and what are you trying to achieve with it. If you want to do anything that's good or important. Because also, once you start to ask those questions, it gets more difficult. It gets actually very difficult once you start to ask those questions. And that's kind of how you edit. That's how you arrive at something worth doing. I mean, it's very difficult when people say, do what you want. It's actually really difficult. Because what do? You can do what you want. And then, usually it's only the deadline that makes you do something then. And most people doing graphics can't cope with do what you want. Very interesting, they design a typeface, or they do a calendar, or they do a diary layout. Because actually the good graphic designers actually like being told what to do. And when you say you can do what you want, most graphic designers don't know what to do. In fact, many designers don't know what to do. They like to have a problem to respond to. So, you know, when you do have freedom, I think it is quite important to ask yourself the question, why am I doing it? And who's it for? And to have some sense of purpose in the work.
I know we're running out of time. This could go on for another hour.